等一下。Hey, welcome to our call. We just get started, so let's wait for a while. We will be starting off our session very soon. Okay, I see more people coming in, so let's give another 2 minutes, then we'll get started.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, welcome everyone. So this is the sharing for from Atlassian community for how to drive the enterprise agility. Well, using Agile with a couple of industry. So if you just joined our sharing session, we will be beginning the sharing in short. So please stay for another while. Okay, I think we are pretty much okay. So Sophie, do you want to take the lead?
OK， 好，大家早安。那相信大家都有看到今天的不管是讲者啊，或者是我们的内容都非常的丰富。那今天会先由我来开场。那其实我们今天整个研讨会会从10点到12点。那早上的第一个时段会是由英文这边来做分享，那第二个时段就会是中文的分享。那今天在整个主题都会围绕在跟敏捷相关的。首先一开始可能会比较偏向一些技术细节方面的分享，那后面有更多案例还有商业管理上面的内容。那今天很开心可以一次邀请到这么多非常有经验，然后也带来更多就是精彩案例的讲师们。对，那如果对英文分享的部分有兴趣的，可以从现在就开始。那如果说比较期待后面中文的部分，那我们大概在11点的时候会开始。那我现在就把时间交给 Nicolo。
Okay, thank you, Sophie, for the Mandarin introduction. So yeah, today's session will break into the English one and also the Chinese one. So English one will cover a little bit in depth in like the technical side on how the agility and also how the tools help the company. So Joy and Matt will be sharing their experience in the industrial area. And after that, we will go into the Q&A session for session 1. So that will be conducted in English, and also we'll put up the survey for the session 1 as well. So after that, if you understand Mandarin or Chinese, then you're very welcome to stay for the second part, which is Sophie and Evan will share more about enterprise agility, how do they adopt Jira, and also the tools helping the company to do the transformation, etc. So well, without further ado, so let me just get started. So believe you can see my screen. So so my name is Slickro. So I would have to do the introduction and also the host for the English part. So let's go through one by one. So little bit background of myself. So I'm Lecro. Got 17 years of working experience across Agile and also software development. So I've recently in the like past 9 years, I'm focusing on Agile and also training, transformation, etc. So if you have any like questions or any related curious topic or funny topic you want to connect with me, like feel free to search me through LinkedIn. So if you search Lecro, you will probably get me. Okay, cool. So first of all, let me talk about like what is the Atlassian community. So well, of course, Atlassian is the big family for the well-known software like Jira, Conference, maybe Trino, and also Bitbucket if you're a developer. So Atlassian community is a place that well, we welcome any user to raise out questions to the product, like on the usage or on the feature, etc. You can also share ideas like what do you want for a particular feature in the next roadmap. Well, Atlassian do listen to our user in a regular basis. Like some of the features actually are wasted by the public, and then they adapt and then they roll out. So they also provide a media like to learn and grow, because like you people getting on the community mostly are very related to the agile discipline, so you can learn and grow from each other, and of course you can networking with each others. So apart from the general user, there are also like marketplace developers. So if you look into like those Jira plugin like a custom chart or like the portfolio roadmap, in the earlier session, they are all like written by some third-party marketplace, and those developer and those researcher, they are also in the community. They are really willing to listen. Or if something that Atlassian is not taking the initiative with, they are happy to do so. So yeah, and last but not least, you can learn about like what kind of features that Atlassian is providing in the upcoming stream. So this is what Atlassian community is doing. So I'm the Hong Kong community leader, and there will be like different community leader based on your local country. So feel free to reach out to any one of us if you have any sharing and any help needed. So without further ado, I'll pass on the presentation to Joy. So Joy will be helping to share the first part, which is the agility on machine learning. Over to you, Joy.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. So, okay. Thank you for being here. Today, I'm really glad I can be here to share how to deploy a machine learning service in Agile way. And this talk will be more like a tutorial, and it's very technical. So I will go through a lot of coding and work you through line by line. And this machine learning service, I will use a marketing email generator as an example. And in the end of this talking, I hope you will understand how the machine learning engineer develop machine learning service in Agile way. Okay, so a little bit about myself. My name is Joy Chen, and I am a machine learning engineer. Currently, I work in a company called Genesis. Genesis is a company that make the user experience better. We use AI power and personalization to make our customers' customer service good and in a very good way that satisfy all their needs. And previously, I worked in XZ and XZ we focus on automate the lead conversation to sales-ready meeting. And last year, we acquired by Genesis. So now we are part of the Genesis big family. So this is a little bit about me. And today, I will first talk about the ML DevOps. What is the ML DevOps? What we do as a machine learning engineer. And because I use email generator as our example service. So I will also like to talk about the GPT-2 model because we build a generator based on this GPT-2 model. And I will tell you how to fine tune the GPT-2 model based on your data. So you can, if you want to create a very interesting application, you can do it by your own. And finally, in machine learning engineer, day-to-day job, the most important part is we need to serve and deploy the service. And also we need to make sure everything is work as expected when we modify it or we add some feature. So CI/CD with Bitbucket is playing a very important role in our day-to-day job. So I would like to share some tips what we do here. And also we highly rely on Jira project management. So I would like to also talk about how we use it and give you some tips if you want to use it as a developer. Okay, so first, in machine learning field or AI field, this is a very complicated field. That if you want to build the AI service, there are a lot of stakeholders involved. For example, like business stakeholder, data scientist, and software engineer, machine learning engineer. So you can see this diagram is very complicated. Business stakeholder need to first define the business need, and data scientists need to go to doing some research, establish the model, modify the model, and then it will go to my end as a machine learning engineer. We will need to prepare the data, train the model, and put it onto the cloud-based registry, and doing the continuous integration and continuous delivery. So you can see there are a few blocks I put it here. This is our day-to-day job. So today I will walk you through each component, so you will know what's a machine learning engineer daily life. Then let's take a look about what's the final outcome if you go through this tutorial. This is the front end project. This is a front end app, and user can put initial word here. Then, for example, here I put hi first name. Then if I press the generate, this email generator can generate it by the bot. It say hi first name if you are still considered setting up a personal account with me. I'd love to set up a quick meeting with you and get to know you and ensure your goals are met. Kind regards, and virtual assistant and signature. There's no line break here because I use markdown display here because it's easier for me to display on the PowerPoint. But I will show you at the end of this tutorial that you can see this is a decent email. It's all generated by bot. There's no human involved. So it's very impressive that a bot can write very decent structure as email. So I also attach this URL. If you are interested, all the code I will work you through will be in this URL. First, I would like to talk about GPT-2 because we will build our email generator based on GPT-2 model. GPT-2 model is created by OpenAI in 2019. And it is a language model based on transformer architect. You don't need to know what's the transformer architect because it's very complicated. But if you are interested in NLP field, I highly recommend you to go to see the paper that create this transformer architect. This paper called "Attention is All You Need." It's a very famous one. And it's also good to know that in currently in the NLP field, transformer architect dominate in most of the AI model. And there are a lot of models use transformer architect, but what makes GPT-2 special is because it trained by very big data set. It was trained by 8 million web page. It's nearly 40 gigabyte data set. And it also have 1.5 billion parameter in the model. So it's a very big model. So you can see at the end of the demo, the response time is a little bit long because the model is very big. And its ability is if you give it some content, then it can predict the next word for you. So that's why I can build an email generator using GPT-2 model. And by the way, we use Unicorn as a GPT-2 is because when OpenAI published this model, this GPT-2 model create a very decent article about a group of unicorn. It's like a real human writing article. So from then when everyone talk about GPT-2, we use unicorn as its symbol. So as you can see in the previous slide, this is a very complicated diagram. So, but today we just have 30 minutes, so I simplify it in few components here. So first, I will talk about the data and how we put it on AWS 3 and serve the model on AWS SageMaker and use the backend system to call the SageMaker the model. And it's depending on your use case. Currently, we use the front end to call the backend, and in the real life, maybe you will have another service to call your backend system. So front end is not necessary, but it's good to have to display the data. And you might have questions about why we don't embedding our model inside our backend system. First reason is model training is offline. It's not a day-to-day job in typical process. So it's good to separate it from backend system. And secondly, as I mentioned before, GPT-2 model is very big. So if you're embedding into our backend system, it's not ideal to put it on cloud and serve it there. And also, if we separate it to different functionality, it's easier to point to another model if you want to change your model. So that's some tip. Okay, let's dive in. First, I use 8,000 email here as our data. And as a preprocessing, I replace line break with a space, and I add an end of text at the end of every email. Why I use this token is because that's what OpenAI did when they changed GPT-2 model. So we need to align with their setting. And I put one email per line in our data set. Why I use this setting is because it is required by Simple Transformer. Simple Transformer is a model, it is a package based on Hugging Face Transformer. And Hugging Face Transformer is a very widely used and very good open source tool for AI and machine learning engineer to use the most advanced or state-of-art model. So you can tune it a little bit or use it in a very wide application. And Simple Transformer make it easier for you to train the model. So let me go through the code. So first, I just import the Simple Transformer here and do the sound logger and define the training argument. I use only 2 epoch here because, as I say, GPT-2 is very big. So the training time, if you use too much epoch, it will take too much time. So after that, I decline the model as a GPT-2 and train the GPT-2 model with our data. So that's how we fine-tune GPT-2 model. After 30 minutes, you can have, oh, wait a second. Oh yeah. Every 30 minutes, you will have your model on your folder. Then you can put the model on S3. I put it manually, but it's really depending on your use case. You can put it, you can create a script to put it on S3, or you can just like me, just put it manually on S3. Then the most important part is we need to utilize the AWS SageMaker to call the model. So first, we need to create a SageMaker client and use Boto3 provided by AWS. And we also need to specify the container that we will use on the endpoint. We use Hugging Face inference container here because we use Hugging Face open source tool, and we don't use it as training. We use it in inference stage. So we use instant container. If you are interested in what other parameter, why I use those, you can check out this GitHub page. It is well documented. So yeah, if you are interested. Then I also define our model URL as the S3 URL, we just put it. Then we create the model on the SageMaker using our previous container and the model URL. Then finally, we can create our endpoint response. And in order to have an endpoint response, we also need to have an endpoint configuration. I use a different, here I just use the ML M5 X large instant type. You need to specify which compute instant type you want and how many numbers you want to launch initially. Yeah, it's very straightforward. And after that, you can call your model on the cloud. Okay, so let's go to the very important part of this service. I use Fast API as our backend framework. If you want to build the AI service, there are a lot of backend framework you can choose from. For example, like Flask is a very popular one. But if you want to specifically create the AI service, I highly recommend you use Fast API because it is very widely documented and it's created by data science group and it's very easy to use. So here, I just created a Fast API app here. And I also need to create the SageMaker client because after that, we will need to invoke our endpoint. So this is the first part of the code. And then let's go to the second part of the code is you need to have the route to interact with the people. So I add a route, the post route as a generate route. And I take the input data as input. And I also put the parameter max length as 300 here because I want our email no more than 300 words. And there are a lot of other parameters you can tune from. But if you are interested, you can just go to the Hugging Face documentation to see. Then after we gather data, we can put it into our SageMaker and get a response. And keep in mind that we need to revert the space to line break because we do this pre-process before. So it's good to have it in here. And finally, we have the generated text here. So now, for now, we have our backend system, but it's always good to have a test. Actually, I highly recommend to add a lot of tests here, but because this today is just a tutorial purpose, so only add one test here. I only test if there's a generated text in the result. But in a real life, you want to make sure your model produces the outcome you desire. Because in an AI field, model is very hard to test because it can always produce something, but sometimes it's not what you want. For example, if you want to create a marketing tool, you might don't want it to mention your competitor. So you can create a test that remove your competitor name in the test. So it's why we want the backend system to serve the model, not just call the model and get a response. So I use FS API test client to test our backend system. Finally, we can create a front-end app to call our backend. Front-end app, I use a Streamlit here. Streamlit is a very useful tool for data visualization, and also is widely used by machine learning engineer and data scientists because it's very easy to use. You don't need to do a lot of configuration. Here, I just create the app, the Streamlit app, and create a title, get a text input from a user, and also a button. If the user press a button and there's some text here, then I will code our backend system and get a generated text here. Okay, so this is our whole system. Then let's go to the very interesting part, is how we do CI/CD with Bitbucket. I would like to share some tips we do in our system. And it's very important for us to save our time. First, we define different branch for different steps. So you can see every branch, no matter what is named, we will go through the test step. So it makes sure every change you do on every branch, it will pass through the test. If it didn't pass through, you couldn't merge it to master. And we also we can also get a notification if there's no it didn't pass the test. Then we don't allow the direct push to master, so it guarantees that every change will go through test first. Then we only allow approved PR to merge to master. After merge to master, there are 3 steps. First is we will build an artifact for our app because I utilize Heroku as our cloud provider, and Atlassian is very useful. Bitbucket is very useful because Atlassian also provides the Heroku pipe for us, so we don't need to manually define all the server configuration. And the second step is we just put to test. And we just need to get the Heroku key API key and the name. Then we can add it to our app. Then we will, the second step is a little bit smaller, but you can see this is the same code as the previous slide. After push to test, we will go to the production part. And we create different apps for test and production is because we want to test in the same environment, but it is isolated. So you can push to test first and play it around. Make sure everything you change is work as you expected. Then you can go push this change to prod. And Bitbucket is very useful for us because the interface is very straightforward. You can just go to the deployments tab, and there it will show you what's the change. And if you want to push from test to production, you can just press the promote button. It's very straightforward and easy to use. And depending on your use case, here we just use test and prod. Some people use test, staging, production. So you can create as many apps as you want. So let's CI/CD tips here. Then let's go to how we do with project manager with Jira. Jira is very important tool for our team because this is one source of truth for everything. We create a ticket in Jira. We also we have all our history inside, and every ticket will link to a PR. So I would like to share some tips we use in Jira. Normally, in the normal processes, first we will create a ticket based on the business need and divide it to different tickets, and we will create a PR directed by the ticket. It's very easy to just press a button. And we will work on the ticket and merge back to master, and the ticket will go to dump. And if you don't want this process, you want to create a PR first, you can also use issue key on branch name. It can automatically connect your PR to ticket. And it's very useful tool for us if you forgot to create a ticket first. Then automation save a lot of time for us. For example, like I mentioned before, when you merge a branch, you can configure that it can automatically transform from in progress to done. So it's easier for us that if you forget to just move your ticket to different board. And then I also recommend to set up the limitation of the tickets, because after you set up the limitation, you can focus on what's the most important thing, and you can keep track and eliminate that that's not so important and put it in different board. And also labels are very handy for us, because you can see there are a lot of stakeholders in one project. We have data scientists, data analytics, and machine learning engineer, software engineer. So we use label to separate both different purpose, and you can easily filter out the information you don't want to see. So that's the tips I would like to share. Okay, finally, let's see what the app would look like. So here, this is the app actually served on the internet. If you are interested, you can go to this URL to play around with by yourself. So here I just put hi first name, and then let's generate it. It will take a little bit time to load the data. First is because the model is very big, so it will need some time to process. Secondly, because I use a free account in Heroku, so it won't start unless you interact with them. So it will take some time to initialize. Okay, so this is the email generated by the bot. So he say, hi, Ferdinand, just want to reach out to see you if still interested in seeing a demo. Please choose one of the time below. And I will give you a schedule option. And he said, look forward to hearing from you, and signature. So you can see this is a very decent email, and it really looks like it's a marketing email. Okay, so yeah, I also put the URL here. So if you are interested, you can go to here to see the code. And thank you for being here. This is my presentation. And if you have any question, you can send an email here, or yeah, we will have a QA session after Matt's presentation.
Yeah, or I see one question. I'm not sure if you want to answer now. So Janelle actually, wait a minute. So Jenny actually raised whether the mechanism that you walk through applies to GPT-3 as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. Actually, yeah, it's definitely can apply to GPT-3, because the difference between GPT-2 and GPT-3 is the size, the model size, and how many data it trained by. So the mechanism and the interface is all the same. So it's totally can apply to GPT-3.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. So I mean, if you have further question, then we can put it on the Q&A. So or you can type it first in the chat room. Okay, thanks. So thanks, Joy. I think it is I mean, I learned something. Like I didn't aware the unicorn have those meaning. I mean the symbol. I always think, oh, well, why they put a poly cross over there. Okay, cool. So without any further ado, then we will pass on to Matt about the gaming industry. Matt, over to you then.
Okay. Yep. Hello everyone. So give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. All right, it's okay. Cool. Okay, hey, I'm Matt. Today my topic is Agile in video game development. Let me firstly introduce myself. I'm a 3D graphics engineer. So I've been working on many different software applications using the 3D technology, including animation software, architectural visualization, and of course, video games. Previously, I worked as a game programmer in a game studio called Big N Studio in Melbourne, making sports games, Tennis World Tour 2 and Cricket 22. So today I'm going to share my experience and something that I heard in the industry about using Agile in the video game development. Let me share some development facts when I'm in the industry. Today I'll be focusing on the traditional PC and console games. So if we want to, a game studio, they want to make a game, make a console game. So the game is always project-based. For example, if I want to make a tennis game or a role-play game. So we form a team just for this project. And the project takes years to develop, usually from 2 years to 5 years. It just takes really long time. And we always have a target date. We want to launch the game on a specific date. After the game is launched, the team will move on to another project, create another games. Only maybe 2 or 3 developers will stay for bug fixing or adding more content. So only a few developers will stay with the game for its entire life. Also, as I said, it takes very long time to the development. So, and we are asked to work in secrecy. We can't talk to anyone what we are doing until the game is launched. So it's just a fact of this industry. And also, making video game is a creative work. So the game designer, they always want to create new ideas. They want to test the new ideas, create a new gameplay mechanisms. So it's just very common that we've got the requirement changes. We want to add new features during development. This is a non-issue. This is part of a deal when you want to make a creative product for a quickly changing market. So I would say traditionally, the AAA game development is quite waterfall. We all know waterfall has a problem of detecting failure a bit too late, but there are reasons for that. So let's have a look at the business model. On the business side, a game always have a hardship date. So for a video game normally sells great in the first 3 months and then drop fast afterwards. So the biggest chance comparing to other software, biggest chance for a video game is we will get the game ready just a few weeks before the Black Friday sale. And then continue selling the game until the Christmas. This is the best time for launching a video game. So get ready and don't be late. Launch the game on time is very important in the industry. So that's why many game studios, they tend to use waterfall, because waterfall it gives you an illusion that if you just follow the plan, then you can ship the game on time. But we know this is not really true. So let's talk about another side of the business model. We call it hit or miss. So when we make a game, as I said, we have to work in secrecy. We can't talk to anyone. And actually, the player can't play the game until the game is launched. So actually during development, except some internal testers, we don't know whether the player will like it or not. We don't have any proper feedback outside. So in the old days, the game studio, they just gamble. They gamble on many new innovative titles. They create a new idea, new mechanisms, and they ship it, and in hopes of hitting a big time. So the key point of this hit or miss model is once you make a hit game and it gets really popular, you could make millions of dollars. And if you have one popular game, one successful game, you can pay for many, many misses. You may lose money in another 10 projects, but you could make it by one successful project. That's why in the old days, the game studio, they don't really mind if you will publish a failed games because they just want to test the market. So this is a problem, but recently there's a problem about this hit or miss model because of the rising cost. Now we have more powerful consoles, more powerful hardware, and making a video game has becoming very extremely expensive. For example, the Tomb Raider, it costs $100 million. GTA 5, it costs $250 million. So the hit or miss model is not working anymore because of the cost. You probably run out of money before you make a hit game. The miss just costs too much, and a hit pays much fewer misses. So everyone is thinking how we can deal with this situation. So we will ask ourselves how we can avoid the miss. We don't want to make a video game which is will not be successful. So we want to detect the failures. We want to know the game is not fun or is not okay before it's a bit too late. So let's come to the basics. Making a video game, there's a very, very fundamental question. The element of making games, our game makers, we always have to sit and say and ask ourselves, is it fun? Is this game fun? I think this is a unique challenge to game. It doesn't necessarily always exist in other software applications. So the fun, okay, I think the fun is the most important factor in making a game. Of course, a fun game is more appealing to players. So if you're making a game that's not fun, no one will buy it. A fun game will result in more sales, and then you can make more money. Well, the problem of fun is the fun cannot be planned. Few people can say, oh, this game is fun by reading the design document. The fun is always, you always need a playable game. You have a controller in your hand and you actually play the game, and you can say, oh, this is fun. Or you say, no, it's not fun. So this is a very important factor, is we need to actually play the game. So what's the most effective way to make a good game? Is we use a way to effectively finding the fun. We can see here, there's a cycle. If we want to experiment a new idea, a new play style, a new game mechanism, the best way is to make it, implement it. Then we play the game and ask ourselves, is it fun? Okay, and then repeat this cycle many times until the game is finished. So this is because of the fact we can't tell the game is fun or not until we actually play the game. So this is pretty much just like an iterative development. So let's look at this. What's the most effective way to making a fun game, to making a good game? Is we use iterative development. We develop the game in small steps, and we always producing a playable game in short time boxes and in the early stage of the project. And then we incrementally add features that satisfy the player. Why we use this way to develop games is because we want to demonstrate the value. The value is the game is fun or not. We want to demonstrate the value early, and also we want to avoid wasting effort on the project that we will know it will fail. So on the right side, there's the game making process. Usually, if we use the waterfall development, we only run this process once, and it takes years. But in the iterative development, we will run this process multiple times, maybe as much as you need during the development. So here, let me show you a graph about a comparison between the Agile projects and the waterfall game project. So we suppose that two projects, they are both successful. We look at the y-axis, the vertical side, this is the fun level, and the x-axis, the horizontal side, is the development period. So if we look at the Agile project, it's a black line. The Agile project, we can see that because it focused on finding the fun early. So it shows the playable game. We always have a playable game early. So the game is pretty fun, and we know it's fun in the early stage. In contrast, if in a waterfall project, if you jump into a project halfway, you would probably see that nothing really works. It usually shows little value. It means we don't really know what the game looks like until the end of the project. And when all pieces come together and the end of the project, and when the game is being tuned and debugged, until then, the project team has a clear idea about what the game is, and we can say, oh, what we can improve. Unfortunately, this is the worst timing to know that. And also, except from the fun level, the fun questions, we can see why Agile is also good for game development from the team's perspective. So making a game actually is a journey about discovering the unknown area. Game dev is about learning what to make. We don't know what game will be looking like at the end of the time. And also we are learning how to make it, about technicals, the skills. Agile approach is good at reducing uncertainty over time. We use Agile to plan for what is known for now and iterate against what is unknown. So this works perfectly for game development. Then I'll show you how we run Scrum in my company. So I think it's a pretty typical Scrum procedure, Scrum framework. So our aim, we are aiming for creating a potential shippable game every 2 weeks. And we run daily Scrum, daily stand-up meetings. And before the sprint, we have a sprint planning meeting, and they have sprint review and a retro meeting at the end of the sprint. And the game designer, they will put a task in the product backlog, and we pull the task into a sprint backlog at the beginning of every sprint. And also, this is our development teams. So there's a person we call game director. We want to use the Agile term, who is the product owner. He's usually the lead design of our team, and he is the person who holds the vision of the game and also make decision on prioritizing the tasks. Also, he is the person will be talking to the publishers, stakeholders, and also players. Another person we usually call her producer. Producer played a role as a Scrum Master. So he managed the time, making sure the Scrum is running smoothly, and everyone is working on what they need to work on. And also we have a dev team. We have 3 modeler, animator, programmer, musician, audio designer, game designer, and testers. Okay, so in the game development, as I said, Agile is very good. It works very well with game development, but we're also facing some challenges. Here, I want to share 2 challenges we have been experienced. The first one is planning poker, and the second one is the Scrum sprints are not a perfect match for a mass production. Planning poker. So I think most of people know that playing poker is a way to estimate the story point of a task in the Scrum framework. And in the Scrum, we always have a cross-discipline team, especially in the game dev team. In the game dev team, we have people come from so different background. For example, the 2 extreme, an artist and the programmers. So they will probably they will probably estimate the story point very differently. For example, we want to make a scrollable UI. The artist will look and say, maybe it's just 3 points, isn't it easy? The programmer, they will look, oh, how we can make it the underneath mechanics, and he will say 20 points. On the other side, we want to draw a beautiful maps. The artist will probably give it rated very high points, and programmer will say, oh, this is easy. So it is not really a good, I would say it's not good if the team member, they come from very different backgrounds, because they are just not able to get a good estimation. And the second challenge is in the game development, we usually have 2 stages. So the first stage we call pre-production. Pre-production is the time for game designer to discover the fun of the game. So we're still creating, and we don't know what the game will look like. Exploring new ideas, core mechanisms, do a lot of experiments. In this stage, the Scrum is working particularly well because we always want to iterate. We always want to test the new things. We want to always deliver a playable game every few weeks. But once past this stage, we will go into the next stage, we call the pre-production stage. So in this stage, it's all about creating the content and using the mechanics we create in the pre-production and then fill the content, and creating more than 10 hours of experience of the gameplay, mass producing assets like characters and levels. So in the production stage, the work looks like an assembly line. For example, in the game I've been working on, Tennis World Tour 2, in the pre-production stages, we only created 2 or 3 players, but in the production stage, we ship more than 50 tennis players when the game is launched. In the game Cricket 22, there are more than 100 teams, more than 100 cricket teams when the game is launched. So this is the most expensive stage, and everyone is working hard to adding more content. So the player, they can play more content, play more games, play more. So here I would like to show you as a production stream how the production stream works. For example, creating a characters. If you want to create a character, the 3D character in the game, we need a 3D artist to model it, to create a 3D model, and then rig it, put the virtual bones so it can move. And then there's an animator doing some animation. So the model, they can run, walk, stand. And then finally, we have a sound designer and audio guy make audio for this character. So 4 people get involved in this process. If we use Scrum, if we use a Scrum framework, it will look like this. We want to make a tennis player A. And we can see the player model, the 3D artist is creating the model. What's the problem of this board is, the first one is we can't see the dependency between the tasks. So the 3D artist who is responsible for rigging and animating, they are waiting for the artist who is responsible for modeling. So they can't really do things until the model is finished. These tasks, they have dependency. They cannot run simultaneously. It's a chain of work. So everyone needs to wait for another person finishing their work. So this creates a lot of gaps in the assembly line while using the Scrum framework. And also, we ask the dev team to empty the task at the end of the sprint. It doesn't really make sense for a production assembly line like this, because we don't really want gaps. It's wasting of effort. So comparing to Scrum framework, once the game goes into the production stage, we usually switch to another method we call Kanban. We use Kanban. What's the good for Kanban is we can visualize the workflow clearly, because the production pipeline are similar to an assembly line. So we can clearly see how a 3D character flow from the very left to the very right. And we know who is doing what kind of work and what player is in what stage. And also, we optimize and we evaluate the time and task from very left to the very right. So we know what's the bottleneck and we can improve on it. So after the challenges, I can see that this video game industry is slowly moving to Agile from waterfall. I think one of the reasons is because the digital distribution platform, less people buy game in the game shop. More people, they buy games on the online shop like Steam, PlayStation Store. So the game maker, we are allowed to incrementally release games. We don't need to get everything prepared just for the launch stage. And also there's an idea we call early access. So some game makers, they will sell an unfinished game. You say it's unfinished, but you still want to make money. You sell the unfinished games and they want to get players' feedback earlier. So we want to avoid that you wasting years of efforts making a game is not fun. And also there's mobile games. They offer a very different business model comparing to the traditional PC and console games. They offer a cheap and free game and make money by advertising or selling items, add-ons. So actually the mobile game, they are the pioneer and in applying Agile in game development. So I want to conclude my talk by the 4 Agile values. The first one is the individuals and the interaction over process and tools. Making video game is a creative work. It's a form of art. So it's very important, like an animator and an animation programmer, they need to work closely and talk to each other a lot. So rather than using process and using a single discipline teams, cross-discipline team is very good for game development. The second one is a working game over comprehensive design. As I said, we can only find fun when the controller is in your hand. So it's good to have a working game, a playable game early and throughout the development period. So no one can really say a game is fun or not until the game is in the shippable state and is playable. The third is a customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Is once we have a working game, so we can work with our publisher and our stakeholder and have a communication with them to get early feedback from them. So we can work together to make a better game. The last one is responding to changes over following a plan. Like what I said, creating game is very innovative. We want to make new design. We want to test our new ideas. We will constantly get the new idea during the development period. So, and we sometimes, not sometimes, frequently, we will know the idea or the game design is not working perfectly as the design document. So we always need to respond to change. Always need to change and get what's the most fun or the best way to make the games. Okay, thank you very much. So this is my talk today.
Thanks, Matt. I think it's interesting because well, obviously I mean, games is surrounded our daily life, like on a handheld, especially. So I got already like a free user game on my mobile phone. So it's interesting to know how you guys are preparating. So let's open to the floor. Like anyone got question for Matt and Joe, like on the machine learning and also on the gaming industry, feel free to voice out. or feel free to raise your hand and or type in the chat room. While we're waiting, so I got a question for you, Matt. Like, you know, in the traditional gaming industry, there are something called the Easter egg. Like the developer probably plan some hidden features or hidden gem in the game. So how, I mean, in which cycle do you guys actually put those into the development? Because you also mentioned like your schedule is very tight. So I mean, I think those of course is more than nice to have. So I was wondering how do you fit into the schedule or the calendar?
So with the tight working deadlines, but I would say, yeah, sometimes it's painful to 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 reach the deadline. So we always have to make some fun for ourselves making these Easter eggs. And also, I think in the early stage when we test a lot of things, we use a lot of like 3D model or some things that won't be shown at the end of the project. We just use it for our internal use. So yeah.
Okay, so those are hidden. I mean, for internal use only.
Yeah. And you know, in some early games, you have the like a magic code. If you press the specific key sequence, you will get 100% health. You will get some special items. Yeah, that's also a way we can test our games early in the stage.
I see. Good to know. Anyone else on the call for questions, machine learning or games? Okay. If no, then I think I mean, thanks very much for Joy and also Matt sharing. Then I think Sophie, I think it's time to pass on to your side for the second session, and even as well, of course.
Okay, thank you. Before pass to the second section, I think there is a questionnaire for the first part.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about the questionnaire.
It's okay.
So, Jenny, can you help to put up the questionnaire for the first part? Yeah, thanks. So yeah, feel free to give us some feedback, because well, we're still fine tuning. We just keep on learning from from you what kind of like characteristic or what kind of way that we should be going forward. Thanks, Sophie, for the reminder, because this is my first time like breaking into 2 sessions as well.
Yeah. There is also a second part. If you're interested in like Mandarin sharing, you're feel free to say. You're very welcome. Okay, so I think I'll move on to the Mandarin part, and I will start to speak in Mandarin.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, Joe, and Matt.
Yeah, I'll start my camera and I'll stay with you for a while.
Okay. Hello， 感谢大家，那也感谢稍早 Joe 还有 Matt 的分享，那就是带来在 Agile 方面像是比较技术的分享，然后还有游戏产业的分享。所以其实我们也听到说，在整个大环境，在整个产业里面，其实有很多的变动嘛。那像其实在我们的第2 part 就会提到说，在比如说 Scrum 这个大家讲到敏捷都会提到的一个方法，那它其实已经也运用了大概将近了30年的时间，就是在整个时代的演进啊，然后在整个产业的变化上面，它可以怎么样起到一个好的，比如说在管理方面或者在商业上面的应用的效果。那今天其实也很高兴的邀请到在 Scrum Inc 亚太区的 partner。对，那 Scrum Inc 也是 Scrum 发明人 Jeff 老师他的一个机构。那更多详细的说明呢，也相信 Ethan 可以带来更详尽的解说。 对，那我们就把时间交给 Ethan。
好的，谢谢 Sophie， 能听到我说话吗？
可以，可以。
OK，其实呢，今天我的分享呢，就是大家聊一聊。那我打算带来的知识呢，是我老师，就是 Jeff Sutherland 老师在Agile India 曾经分享过的一个内容。那基本上来说，就是说谈一谈所谓的敏捷转型，它的成功与失败，还有一些案例，还有是我们是怎么做到的这样子。那等我先分享一下我的 PPT。那首先想要跟大家说一下的，就是这个很恐怖的数字啊！你看，很多人都说这敏捷转型 Agile Transformation， 但是大家有没有考虑过，现在在世界上有多少的 Agile Transformation 是成功的还是失败的？然后其实大家每年又花了多少的时间、多少的精力去做这样事情？其实，在演讲的第一开头呢 ，Jeff 老师已经跟我们讲了，其实许多的所谓的敏捷转型是失败的，是公司不满意的，是走了一下之后就被叫停的，又或者是走了2-3年之后还没有什么样的很好的成果的。那我想介绍一下我自己跟 Jeff 老师。那Scrum Inc 呢，就是我老师的公司 ，Jeff 老师的公司。那 Jeff 老师当然就是Scrum 的发明者了。然后其实为什么 Scrum Inc 这家公司被创建呢？其实还是有个故事的。那我们稍微缓一下，然后我们先说一下，就是这是 Jeff 老师跟我啦。那么我是在 Scrum Inc 亚太区负责所有的教育、所有的知识传播、所有的帮助这些社区去成长这样的工作。OK， 那为什么 Scrum Inc 会成立呢？就是其实 Jeff 老师看到一个很大的问题，这个很大的问题就是在传统的 Scrum 教育里面，其实有没有把他创建的 Scrum 讲给别人听？那我们认为很多人之所以用Scrum 或者是用 Agile 会失败的原因呢，其实是可能是很大的一个部分是在知识点上面。真正 Scrum， 我相信在全球呢，像学 Scrum 的人很多，但真正像 Jeff 老师学他的 Scrum 的人呢，我觉得是少过1% 或者1%的。这就中间产生了一个很大的问题，就是从前我小的时候啊，我很爱看台湾节目啊。那台湾节目呢，我就看吴宗宪的。那吴宗宪的节目呢，一个很好玩。然后有一个节目呢，常常会有一个游戏叫做以讹传讹，就是把人放在不同的位置，然后讲一句话呢，一个传一个，然后传到最后一个，你看看第一个跟最后一个有没有不一样。小时候呢，不知道为什么很多节目都会有这样的环节。在香港有一个我很爱看的节目叫《卷母人》，也是玩同样的东西，对吗？以讹传讹，第一个传到最后一个，然后情况都是一样的。每次第一个传到最后一个之后，信息就改变了。所以其实在知识点方面，其实是我们很担心的一个问题。在所有敏捷转型里面呢，77%的转型呢是 Scrum 的转型，也就是说，现在全世界人都在做所谓的 Agile Transformation， 其实 what they meant is Scrum Transformation， 大部分人都在使用这 Scrum。OK， 那这也是主流的一个趋势呢。其实之所以为什么是这样子，我跟 Jeff 老师也谈了很多。那大家都是觉得，其实它的实用性来说呢，是比较好的。所以才会出现这样子的局面。那不排除其他的Agile， 包括Crystal 水晶模型啊、FDD 啊那些也很好，对吗？但是很多人看到就是 Scrum 是很快就能够拿到企业里面自己用起来，但是问题就出现了。所以所谓的 Scrum 实施的成功，或者一个Scrum Transformation 的成功，或者一个 Agile Transformation， 但其实是 Scrum Transformation 的成功，到底是怎么定义的？很多人认为，我把我的 Scrum， 我把团队已经使用 Scrum 了，那他们已经用 Scrum 来管理着他们的工作了，这样子就是成功了，就是一个团队到多个团队到 N 个团队这样子的成功。其实呢，Jeff 老师并不是这么认为的。你要明白 Jeff 老师怎么去想的话，你首先要明白他的故事，还有他创造 Scrum 的出发点。他创造 Scrum 的出发点，是因为他要为一家公司打造业绩，打造 business outcome， 所以 Scrum 的使用跟 Scrum 的创建呢，是一个不停的优化着去 deliver 一个 business outcome 的环节。所以当我们现在在看到很多人在使用 Scrum 的时候，都是在实践层面这样子，而没有去提及其实一家成功的使用 Scrum 的公司应该是怎么样子。那 Jeff 老师就直接回答，在这 PPT 上就直接回答我们问题。首先，你一定要知道，一家 Scrum 的使用 Scrum 的成功的公司 ，Jeff 老师永远只会用外部的数据去看，也就是说，这家公司是否盈利 ，OK， 也就是说，它的 revenue 有没有增长，是否能够降低成本，它的 production cost 能不能够降低，还有呢，就是它的用户啊各方面，它的 customer 的 engagement、happiness 等等有没有增加。他永远都是用这样的方式去问着 ，OK， 这个企业是有没有真正的落实到 Agile 跟 Scrum。所以在这里要指出一个很重要的重点，就是很多人以为 Agile transformation 成功，就是我们已经用了那个方法了，我们已经多少个部门、多少个团队里面开展的事情了。其实对于 Jeff 老师来说，这是不正确的看法。真正正确的看法是，这家公司 revenue 有没有提高 ，cost 有没有降低 ，customer engagement 有没有，这全部都是跟公司表现有没有提升的数据。只有做到这样子的东西的时候 ，Jeff 老师才认为你的 Scrum 是真正做到了。OK， 如果你只是跟着 Scrum 的动作，你只是跟着 Agile 的思维去做，可是你的公司里面并没有比从前更赚钱，并没有表现得更好，你的客户并没有更喜欢你的产品，不好意思，哪怕你跟着 Scrum 所有动作做 ，Jeff 老师认为你还是失败的，因为你没有做到 Scrum 的核心，也没有做到 Scrum 的灵魂。那这样讲很虚哦，好像在讲玄学一样。那么我希望在后面的分享，你会慢慢看到一步一步的为什么我们是这么说。所以其实现在来说呢，Agile 已经在所有的 domain 已经在开始运行当中。其实我们已经来到一个时间点，就是说我们再也不问说，哎，你应不应该去使用 Agile， 而是你什么时候使用了多少的 Agile。真正能够把它转型成功的公司，您看呢？这里面 Tesla 就是一个很简单的例子，对吗？从15年前，可能大家没有什么听过 Tesla， 到现在世界排名第一，它颠覆了整个汽车行业，也带起了所有的其他的 EV 行业，例如说中国国内的比亚迪啊等等。然后传统的没有办法改变或者没有办法变革的那么快的 BMW 啊、Toyota 啊。他们都已经落后了。如果你看看这里的市值的话 ，Tesla 的市值是前4家市值加起来，对吗 ？OK， 所以我觉得现在使用敏捷是必要的。所以而且 Jeff 老师说，你看，如果我们照这个发展趋势下去的话，如果大家是没有做好这方面的东西的话，可能哪怕你现在是 market leader， 以后也未必是。其实我们已经看到很多这样子的局面出来了，但这里还是有一个核心的问题，就是为什么这么多的 Agile Transformation Failure？ 这也是为什么我们创建 Scrum Inc 的原因，就是因为我们看到很多人花了很多时间、很多金钱去做这个事情，并没有做，而且并没有做得出来。做得出来的只是我有个 Scrum 的版，我有了一个用户故事，我站着开会了。做得出来的就是动作，而不是 Jeff 老师所说的 business outcome。OK， 而 Scrum 解决的问题，并不是你站着开会，并不是你写用户故事，并不是你用 estimation， 它并不解决这些，这不是它的出发点，它的出发点是你的 business outcome。所以我们应该有的衡量也是有没有 business outcome 来决定你的 Scrum 是否成功。OK， 所以很多呢，就是问题就出现，就是很多人做不到，47%呢都是失败的。然后我们理解一下为什么会这么多的失败。首先，大家是怎么做敏捷转型？那我苏宇登呢，我现在在马来西亚，那我在大陆呢工作了13年，我就是帮忙做敏捷转型啊等等的。首先我在自己的公司里面去做，那也在别的企业里面去做等等。那比较传统的敏捷转型的套路都是这样子的 ：Step 1，right？你会把几个4点团队让他们去实施 Scrum， 那实施 Scrum 的时候，你就给他一点的培训啊，然后或者如果是想节约一点的公司，你就在网上去下载一些资料啊，就 run 起来。然后一个 team run 了之后，哦，好像是比从前有不少的增进哦，有好一点哦。OK， 就从一个团队级变成一个项目级，或者在台湾我们叫做专案级，对吗？所以是从1-2个团队、3个团队变成了 OK 5个、8个、200个人的项目这样子。然后这个东西做了之后，觉得还是不错的话，然后你就会升级到一个部门级或者是组织级的这样子的 deployment。OK， 2017年我遇到 Jeff 老师，2017年之前呢，我都是这么做的，我让自己的 consulting 公司也是这么做的，但这里面有几个很大很大的问题哦。那我想跟大家提出一下，大家看看大家有没有看到这个问题。第一个问题呢，这个转型的套路啊，它是 action oriented 的 versus result oriented。什么叫 action oriented？ 哦，我用了 Scrum 的形式了，我站着开会了，我写用户故事了，我有一个板了，我做 estimation 了，等等等等，你讲这都是他的动作，都是动作，而不是 result。Right？所以很多人认为他已经做到了，其实他做的都是动作。OK， 我最近也去学游泳哦，其实我还蛮害臊的。40多岁的人不懂得游泳，我家的孩子呢，他才7岁，那么他现在已经游得很厉害，所以为了陪他可以在海边玩，我决定去学游泳。他做游泳的动作我也做啊。可是他现在能够参加校际比赛，我现在游了一下就沉下去了，所以我们做的一样的动作，但我不知道为什么会沉下去，而且他能够去参加比赛，这是动作，而你要的东西是结果，你游不游得出来 ？OK， 所以第二个问题呢，就是除了动作跟 result 的问题之外，那第二个情况呢，就是 knowledge consistency。很多人呢在学的时候呢，他会学某种的SM 的课程，对吗？你很多人在这边听的人，可能也有某一些Scrum Master 的认证啊等等，还有几款。那么有些人在从 YouTube 上学习，有些人是从朋友那边听过来的学问，那就用了。所以呢，在这里呢，其实从一个 team 到多个 team 的时候呢，其实这知识的传承啊，是有个 big destroy 的，有一个很大的缝隙在这里的。为什么有个很大的缝隙呢？就是因为它的设计者是不一样的。其实所有东西的设计者只有一位 ，Jeff 老师，所有人都是跟 Jeff 老师学的。OK， 教你任何 Scrum Master 卡，他是第5代徒孙、第4代徒孙，以讹传讹的方法把知识传给你的。然后到了多个团队的时候，当你要跨部门的时候，你要有个 framework 的时候，它的设计者又不一样。OK， 所以你在学好 single team 的知识的时候，你未必能够很好的 transfer 到 multi team 的情况下去。所以很多人呢，在多个一个 team 的时候呢，就做得越来越差。就好像我游泳一样，我不会嘛，我不换气的时候，我可以游5下，游了5下之后我就沉下去了。很多人用 Scrum 也是一样，第一个 team、第2个 team 很好，第3个 team 很好，需要第5个 team、第6个 team 就开始沉下去了。OK， 为什么？你遇到一个 scaling 的问题。OK。所以 Jeff 老师就很想解决这个问题，因为有人跟他说其实 Jeff 老师你是 Scrum 的发明者，你看到这个局面，你是不是应该考虑一下现在的问题是什么？怎么我们能够去解决这个问题？于是他就静下来的去思考，所谓的 Agile Transformation 敏捷转型，我们到底真正要解决的问题是什么？当然我们要解决 Business Outcome 的问题 ，OK？但是我们怎么样才能够很妥善的让我们的这些 Agile 组织能够去到 Business Outcome？ 于是他总结了3大灵魂拷问。这3大灵魂拷问是所有人做 Agile Transformation 跟 Scrum Transformation 都应该去问自己的东西。你没有做到这3点。第一点就是我们有没有把我们的工作呢很好的 prioritize， 按照优先级别。这不是一个 team。这不是2个 team， 这不是5个 team。为什么5个 team 就你沉下去呢？因为这是全公司或者全组织在排。那为什么全部人一起在排很重要呢？因为现在我们看到很多的 企业在实施的 Scrum。Jeff 老师呢到处去演说，那大家也很欢迎他过来看看我们 Scrum 做的好不好。于是，在全球不同地方去看的时候，他发觉有一个奇怪的局面，每个 Scrum team 都有 PO， 对不对？你用了 Scrum， 你也有 PO， 但是 PO 里面的 Product Backlog 包含了些什么？Jeff 老师发觉有30%的，这是平均值哦，不是这是平均值哦，不是单一的值，是平均值。大概30%的 staff 呢，你是 working on zero value story， 你的 story 又做了之后呢，是别人是没有用的。OK， 你的客户不用，也产生不了什么价值。有45%的时间呢，你是 deliver 这 story 呢，也是没人用的，我们叫做 junk story。所以大部分的时间呢，75% 的时间呢，你做的东西呢是 waste， 而不是 effective 的东西。你用着 Scrum， 你有 PO， 你有 backlog， 但是你做着的东西是 waste。OK，and only 25% 它是这真正的东西呢才会被客户使用。大概就是这样子。那为什么是出现这样子？就是回到来第一个灵魂拷问 prioritization 的问题。很多大公司都是我拿了 budget， 你也拿 budget， 他也拿 budget， 各自为战，各自去做一件事情。OK， 所以这样的方法是不对的。在中国有一家很有名的公司叫做小米。那小米的创始人雷军呢就说了一句话，小米的7字格言呢就是专注、极致、口碑快。什么叫专注？专注就是说我们把精力放在1-2款很好的产品上面，以便这个产品能达到极致。虽然当时雷军讲的时候，他并不是对准敏捷还是什么，但是他的这个专注这个点呢抓对了。专注的体现就是 prioritize， 重要的东西我们全力去做，不重要的东西我们不要去做，那就叫 prioritize。OK， 第二个灵魂拷问就是我们有没有办法 deliver？ 我们有没有办法每个 sprint 都 deliver 一个 working 的产品？很多人说哦，我不行，我是医药行业的，我们东西都很慢，然后又有很多的regulation approval， 所以我们做不到这样子的东西，所以我们 deliver 不了。OK， 那是你自己没有去想办法，怎么样去把它变成可以，因为有很多的案例都可以，而是你自己让这东西卡住你自己了。所以 deliver 每个 sprint 都要 deliver 有价值的东西，不是一个团队，不是5个团队，是全部一起工作的 Scrum System。听了开始觉得有点难了吧，对吗？第3样东西呢，就是 refactor。你有没有办法去改变你公司的人员配置的格局？你有没有办法扁平化？你有没有办法做成一个倒三角模型？你有没有办法去中心化？因为实施 Scrum 的方法有很多种，你可以用很多不同的组织架构形式去实现 Scrum， 只要你把那个团队用了 Scrum， 那就叫 Scrum 了，对吗？可是真正 effective 的，真正能够 deliver business outcome 的人，不是随随便便做 Scrum， 而是要懂得怎么编排自己的组织格局的。只有这样子，你去优化之后，你才会实现 Scrum 的真正的威力。OK， 而这3大灵魂拷问是 Jeff 老师总结回来的，所以所有的敏捷实践者跟 Scrum 实践者，你一定要问你自己：我的公司现在做到这样的东西了吗？如果你只是做到 Scrum 的动作，没有做到这样的东西，那是不完全领会了 Scrum 的真正的精神跟它的 core。OK， 好。那其实如果我们懂的话，那 Scrum 其实是或者是 Agile 是每个行业各行各业都可以的。很多人呢都会把它用在软体那一边或者软件那一边，为什么呢？因为容易，因为早期的实践者都是 IT， 都是软件行业，所以很容易啊，一讲就通啦。但是现在的趋势就是各行各业，那excuse me。无论我们看到转油的平台，还是医疗的设备，还是造火箭 SpaceX 的，我们都有看到很多很powerful 的成绩出来，只是看我们会不会。在台湾，很多人都是做在硬体的研究，那么其实 Scrum for Hardware 已经红了很多年了，只是说，我们懂不懂？我们知不知道？我们自己不知道。OK。所以我们真正要的敏捷转型是要真正像 Microsoft 这样子，能够从前的 18个month 去发布一次的，到现在能够发布每个 sprint 发布，能够每天发布这样子。如果你想想看，从前 Windows 95到 Windows 98发布周期3年嘛 ，Windows 98、Windows ME 2年。Windows ME 到 Windows XP 3年，如果那是 Microsoft 的 release 周期的话，你看现在基本上 Win 10的或者 Win 11的话，每个迭代、每个月甚至每一天他们都可以发布，这才是我们要的东西。OK， 所以 Jeff 老师要保存他自己的 knowledge， 因为他认为很多人学的时候并没有听过刚才我告诉你的东西啊。并没有人告诉我说 Scrum 就是要 target business outcome 的啦。Scrum 不只是动作越简单越好，而是真正要把成绩做出来。而支撑背后的 Scrum 的所有的基础的 knowledge， 包括Lean， 就是精实或者精益的生产方法，包括Scrum 的里面的核心的要素，就是我告诉你那些，还有 Agile 的东西，还有怎么把 Scrum 运行的好的这些 knowledge 呢？他想要保存下来，所以他才82岁的人，然后熬夜的帮我们去制作 PPT。为什么？因为别人教的东西不完全 ，OK， 很多东西是 missing 的。他要解决，而且他要解决这个让企业转型成功的问题，所以他就决定把他知识规范在一些范围内，包括他要让 Scrum Framework 讲得清楚一些，而且他把他的怎么运行的好的 Scrum 的方法呢，写在叫做 Scrum Pattern 里面，以便我们能够复制。所以从前我们学 coding 呢，都会有学叫做 Design Pattern 的东西。其实我们用 Scrum 也有一个叫 Scrum Pattern 的东西，而且已经用了很多年了，只是所有人都没有听过。为什么？因为 Jeff 老师不是一个爱搞 marketing 的人，也不是爱搞推广的人，他只是做一个学者，他把很好的知识然后收藏起来。所以而且学 Scrum 的人一定要懂得精益或者精实。如果你不懂这里面的原理的话，你不明白 Scrum 为什么是这么操作的。比方说在 in Sprint 的时候，我们基本上是刚才那位同学 Matt 呢，他是分享了他是需要配搭看板的用，其实 Scrum 里面已经包含了这里面所有东西，你无需要再使用看板，所以这些 Lean 的 tool 已经在这里面了，是大家有没有把它发挥的效果？然后还有就是他把Skill Up 的东西呢，设计了一个设计的框架叫做 Scrum and Skill。OK， 我们稍微讲一下，等一下。所以从1个团队到5个团队到更多的团队的时候，其实是一个非常难的东西。为什么非常难呢？那有一本书叫做《The Mythical Man Month》我在大学的时候就学过这本书。那么在大陆呢，这本书叫做《人月神话》。那基本上这个书里面很重要的一个理念就是，你项目搞不定的时候，你要加人呢，不是一个很好的方法。OK， 你加人的时候会让你的项目或者你的专案更慢。所以就是因为这样子，所以我们要 skill up 的时候不能够随便加团队。所以 Jeff 老师又有一个问题要解决，就是他怎么让多个 Scrum 团队很好的一起工作起来，连接起来，以便能够做到所有人能够往一个方向进攻这样的局面，对吗？这就是要他认为要解决一个问题叫做 linear scalability 的问题，就是说当你去增加团队的时候，你每个团队的 efficiency 跟 overhead 不会增加，不会明显的增加，这样子的 scaling 才算是成功的。OK， 所以 Jeff 老师就一直去思考这方面的问题。那最后呢，他给了我们一个答案。那他告诉我们说 Agile transformation 不要像我们从前那么做。从前那么做的方法呢，成功概率非常非常低。我做了13年的这个 consultant 或者 agile coach， 我从03年开始做 Scrum， 然后后来呢，就是离开了企业之后呢，就做了13年的那 transformation lead 这样子的 transformation consultant。那我也是用着第一个方法的。然后我遇到他之后，他告诉我，那是我遇到他是2017年，他告诉我说 Ethan， 不要用这样的方法。因为这样的方法成功几率非常非常低，大部分人都是在做这个动作，而没有得到这个动作实际效果。所以他给了我们一个新的路径，这个路径 比较简单，而且很容易复制，而且非常容易成功，而且能够在企业里面能够很 low cost， 就很便宜就能 deploy 出来，一点都不贵。OK， 你不需要送人去很多的培训，什么都不需要，你只是需要用 Scrum 来 scale Scrum 就 OK 了。所以从前套路就是一开始用了 pilot team 4点团队，现在 Jeff 老师说不要只是做 pilot team， 要把 pilot team 推到一个境界，叫做 scalable reference model。 什么叫做 scalable reference model 呢？我们要看一下，其实有很多种方法能够做 Scrum。 如果你看这个图好吗？看看这个图，第一种方法，你把它底下的团队用 Scrum 运行了，也叫是使用 Scrum。第二种方法，你用了 Scrum 之后呢，你让它更好的扁平化，更好的自主，你还是用了 Scrum。第三种呢，对吗？他们是个工作网络，那他们是自己连接的，全面去中心化、去扁平化，你还是在用 Scrum。3种方法都是在用 Scrum， 哪一种 Scrum， 对吗？所以你要把它推成scalable reference model 呢，你要做好4件事情。第一件事情，要懂得怎么打造好的团队。Scrum 的 Hyper Productive Team 超级生产力团队，到底它的原理是什么？到底它的构成是什么？它当初 Jeff 老师怎么设计的 ？Scrum 要解决的3大问题，就是在团队级就是现在需要做什么 ？OK，what's the right thing to do？ 怎么把它做出来 ？How to do it right？然后第3个是怎么加快它速度 ，How to make it fast。Jeff 老师认为，只有这3大问题同时解决的时候，你才会形成超级生产力团队。那如果你的团队架构是做不对的话，那你只会捆绑这3个问题，让这3个问题不能很好的解决。所以要做好 scalable reference model，pilot team 要做好4件事情。第一样事情就是懂得怎么去 structure 你的 Scrum team。第二样事情就是学好 Scrum 的理念、精神，还有 Agile 的种种认知，以便你能够用 Agile 的方法、Agile 的理念去推动你的 Scrum 团队。第3样东西你要学好的东西就是怎么去管理需求 ，manage requirement。How do you manage requirement with Scrum appropriately？OK？这是第3样。第4样东西呢，就是 how to run lean production， 怎么做精益生产，跟怎么做精实生产。你 run Scrum， 你跑 Sprint 的时候，你就是做这个精益生产，你怎么去 run 好它？所以做好这4件事情之后，你就会出现一个效果，这个效果就是你的团队会变成 hyper productive， 你的数据开始会有变化。只有达到这个级别 ，Jeff 老师认为你在第一步才是走好了，你才有稳妥的根基。Scalable reference model， 然后再来到第2步。第2步的时候，我们要从1到3个 pilot team 要变成多个 team。All right， 如果你要把它变成多个 team 呢，你怎么去做？那这时候呢 ，Jeff 老师就把他所有的知识都规范在我们叫做 patterns 的东西里面。那么这里面我只是介绍几个很简单的 pattern， 然后其实有很多你可以慢慢学哈。那么第一个 pattern 呢，就是当一个团队到多个团队的时候，最好的打造 Scrum 团队的方法是什么？就是将你固有的好团队里面的人员分裂出来，让它从1个变成2个。那这里面 splitting a team， 对吗？如果你已经有了一个 cross-function team， 已经好的团队了 ，all right， 你再把它分解出来，像细胞分裂这样子，变成2个 team，2个 team 用回同样的模板为根基，然后就是他们的 Scrum 的 configuration， 你怎么 configure 你 Scrum 的，用回同样的 configuration， 然后再去改 ，OK？ 所以这就是 mitosis， 然后在 mitosis 之后分成多个团队之后，再用一个 Scrum of Scrum 的组织去把它连接起来。这 Scrum of Scrum 呢，要做到像 General McChrystal 在这里说的东西一样，团队之间要相互的配合，相互的明白对方要做什么，然后一起往同一个方向去走。不单只是这样子，那他们还要相互的帮助，自己讨论自己研发，自己要做一些决定 ，OK， 而不是在从前的中心化从上面压下来。所以只有做到这个级别的东西呢，那我们才认为是做得够的 ，OK。所以第2个级别的时候呢，你就要用各种的 Scrum of Scrum 这样子的 pattern 啦， 然后还有包括你要打造 minimum viable bureaucracy 呢，叫做最小的管理组织哈。那么在这里呢确定一个第二步呢，来到一个 minimum viable bureaucracy 的开始呢，才是我们要到的 stage。OK， 然后第三个当然就是全员了。OK， 今天的时间其实非常非常有限了，然后我很难解释更多的技术上面的东西给你听，你就懂得一个大概。如果你有兴趣的话，我已经跟Sophie 这边说了，如果你是有兴趣的话我们有一些免费的东西，其实是付费的。那Sophie 这边可以提供你一些免费的券，里边你可以领取这个阅读的东西，然后你自己去看一下。OK。那这些技术上的东西我就不能再多说了，因为再多说也没有什么时间，因为11点40分了哈。那么大家都说我每次分享的时候很唠叨，其实我每次都是准备了30分钟的东西，然后现在已经是11点40分。OK， 这么做出现什么样的结果？用着 Jeff 老师新的方法出现什么结果？如果你看看这2年呢 ，Scrum 和 Agile 转型成功的案例呢？大部分都是按照 Jeff 老师这个方法做出来的，而用着 traditional 我刚才所说的第一种方法做出来的人少之又少，非常非常少。OK， 真正的这2年大的案例、成功的案例都做出来，都是按照 Jeff 老师的方法。所以如果你看这个叫 John Deere 的，它是一个其实 Fortune 100的公司，它的产品就是你看到这些玩具车。开玩笑，不是玩具车，是这些大型的击剑车。OK， 他们能够做到79% improvement in cycle time， OK， 那time to market decreased by 66%， 然后他们 overall cost decreased by 20%， 然后他们的 customer 的 NPS score 然后 improve 到60，所以 anyway， 总之这些成绩大家有没有观察到，都是些外部的成绩 ，right？ 然后NPS 啦 ，overall cost 啦，这些都是外部，而不是 Scrum 我写了多少故事，完成了多少个迭代，完全不讲这些东西。你 cycle time 有没有降低？你 time to market 有没有加快了？如果没有，不好意思，你的 Scrum 还没有做到 Jeff 老师的要求。OK。那其实 John Deere 是一个非常大的案例哦。如果大家有兴趣的话，你只要在 Google 上 search， 然后 Scrum in John Deere， 然后你就会来到这篇文章，它里面还有 PPT 蛮多的内容的。那我想给大家第二个案例，也是最近才发现的案例。那很棒很棒。那我们小时候呢都听过一个软体叫 Quicken， 在美国呢这是最大的做 tax 的或者是其他 financial 有关的产品。那他们进去了这个 mortgage 的行业，就是房贷啊这方面的东西。那么他现在已经变成了最大的公司。这个案例很好玩哦，他们一开始的用了一个方法叫做 SAFE。那大家可以看到这里的SAFE 帮助他们提升了什么样的东西，对吗？那么仍然的 Jeff 老师的规矩，问不问 Scrum 里面的多少个故事、多少个迭代、多少个故事点？不问。问不问 Velocity？ 不问。问的是什么？ Cycle time throughput 赚钱亏钱 Customer 好不好？记着这一点，永远用这一点去评估你的 Scrum team 做得好还是不好。用了 SAFE 之后，你看这是一个数据啊。你看他们用了2年的 SAFE 之后呢 ，Rocket 呢就觉得好像我们到了天花板了，我们不懂怎么走下去了。然后 SAFE 好像蛮多东西很重量级的，我们怎么办？于是他就找了 Jeff 老师进去帮他。Jeff 老师用了刚才我告诉你的方法，立马呢出现一个扭转的局面。然后如果我们有个比较的话，那么用了 SAFE 之后，这些是数据。然后用了 Scrum Skill 之后，用了 SAFE 之后呢，他们已经到了Feature Cycle Time， 他们已经 improve 过一次了，到了33天。那么用了 Scrum Skill 之后呢，在 SAFE 的之上再加强了很多的result 59%， 然后到 Feature Throughput 呢，本来是101% 呢，变成了340% 的增长 ，OK。然后 feature delivery 等等，所以现在很流行一个方法，是大家明白了其他的 skill 的方法呢，然后去到一定程度呢，就已经知道，就很快的就到天花板。他们都用着 Jeff 老师的方法去 optimize 他们自己的 implementation。 这个非常非常好玩。如果你们有兴趣的话 ，Jeff 老师还跟他们去做了一个这样的 webinar， 我觉得里面还蛮多信息的。所以无论是你是直接用刚才我教你的方法，还是你是用了其他的 framework，right， 然后再做 Jeff 老师的方法呢，你同样得到很迅猛的 results， 而且这个 result 呢，其实来的并没有特别困难，我只是觉得 ，alright。因为它而且去 deploy 它去用 Jeff 老师的方法的话，不但只是简单，而且省时省力，非常 low cost。你只需要学 Scrum 就 OK 了。它是用 Scrum 的方法来 scale up Scrum。讲到这里呢，时间也差不多。Jeff 老师给的一个叮嘱呢，就是你的 company 的 survival depends on successful agile transformation。如果你没有办法打造 minimum viable bureaucracy 的话，那你的 agile transformation 呢就会非常非常的艰难。其实真正能做到 Jeff 老师所说的东西呢，其实才是你公司应该思考的问题。讲到这里，那所有的东西都已经讲完了。希望我对你们的对你们的分享这资讯呢，对大家有点帮助。用刚才我说的那种方法，那么非常简单、轻松，而且很便宜，很快就做得到。在香港呢，香港有几家最大的银行，我就不说哪一家最大的银行了。对，就有2家在香港最知名、最老牌子的银行，他们都用了我教他们的方法。就是刚才我说的方法，每一家银行呢都得到了很迅猛的效果。虽然他们还在 early stage 早期 implementation， 但是在香港我们看到是超级无敌成功的。希望我今年年底去香港的时候还能够看到他们的成绩，能够帮到他们更多。也很感谢这次的Atlassian 给我这个机会。其实在运用在做Scrum 的时候，很多时候我都会用着Atlassian 的工具，包括 Trello 啊，还有 Jira。那因为我做的是非软体行业，所以我用的 Trello 比较多。那我用 Trello 实现电子版的还是非常非常不错的工具，希望大家多支持 Atlassian。分享到这里，我把话筒交回给Sophie。
好，感谢Ethan 的分享。对，那因为我们其实还有一点时间，那也非常开心，感谢大家待到这个时候啊，相信也将近午餐时间了，就是大家也听了2个小时的时间都没有休息，所以我们如果机会很难得，如果有什么样的问题，可以在线上做提问。对，那我也听说，就是 Ethan 接下来是8月的时候会到台湾嘛？
应该是9月中旬。
9月。
对，9月中旬会到台湾，然后11月中旬会到香港。对。
OK， 所以或许也有机会跟大家有一些线下的交流跟互动。
对，如果你对我刚才的知识有兴趣的话，可以去上网去搜，或者如果你去我们有一些阅读资料，你也可以问Sophie 去拿一个优惠券，然后就免费的就可以学习。OK， 希望这些东西对你们公司有帮助吧。
好，感谢。那刚刚Ethan有提到的那个阅读的资料。这次也是限量的，所以之后我也会发在，我想一下，可能发在我们的社群。对，那我顺便广告一下台湾这边的有一个 Go Jira 的社群。那在里面大家就是因为我们在台湾的社群这边，大概每一个月都会有一次的分享嘛。那不仅限产业的主题。大概都跟 Jira 跟产品有相关的，对，所以也欢迎大家可以多多在里面提问跟我们交流。好，看大家这边有没有什么样问题？
其实今天大家轻松的聊聊啊，所以我觉得刚才海报上面放的西装照，我觉得太严肃了，可能会把人吓跑了。行，如果没有什么问题的话，那我们今天就到这里结束。
好，那因为我们今天的 webinar 也是录影的嘛，我是不是卡住了？有吗？听得到我声音吗
？OK， 听到你声音。
OK，好好好，就我们今天的 webinar 也是有录影的，所以只要是今天有报名的都可以得到我们回放的连结。对，那如果有什么想要再回来重看的，我们都会会后再发这个连结给大家。OK，那趁着这个时间，我们也把下半场就是中文场次的问卷也可以发出来，再麻烦大家帮我们做填写。那也希望接下来的活动或者是有什么可以协助大家的部分，都可以跟大家有更多的互动跟交流。诶，好。好，谢谢大家，非常感谢大家。那问一下，精灵，我们问卷填答的数据大概
可以了。
OK，好，那谢谢，非常谢谢大家今天的参与，然后还待到了这个时间。接下来也非常期待我们下个月的 webinar 的主题。好，祝大家周末愉快。
再见喽，周末愉快，
周末愉快，拜拜。谢谢
拜，
Ethan，拜拜。
谢谢各位。